Welcome to this interview preparation series on data privacy, where we will help you prepare for interviews related to one of the most critical topics in today's digital landscape, data privacy. This course is the first part of a two-part series designed to equip you with the knowledge and confidence to tackle interview questions in the field of data privacy. In this series, we'll explore a variety of interview questions that range from straightforward concepts to more scenario-based challenges, all aimed at helping you stand out as a data privacy professional. Question: what is personal data? Answer: personal data refers to any information that relates to an identified or identifiable individual. This means that if the information can directly or indirectly point to a specific person, it qualifies as personal data. Examples include basic identifiers like names, email addresses, and phone numbers. But it doesn't stop there. IP addresses, location data, and even online behavior like browsing history can also be considered personal data if it ties back to an individual. For example, let's say a retail website tracks a user's purchase history. If that data is linked to the user's account or email, it becomes personal data. Another example is when a fitness app records your workout details, like steps taken or calories burned, alongside your profile. That's personal data because it directly relates to you as an individual. Understanding what personal data is forms the foundation of data privacy. Without this clarity, organizations cannot effectively design processes to protect privacy or comply with regulations. Keep in mind that personal data can be structured, like in a database, or unstructured, such as a casual email conversation mentioning someone's health status. In the context of data privacy, personal data must be treated carefully to ensure individuals' rights are respected and their information is safeguarded from misuse. It's not just about what data you have, but how that data is used, shared, and stored. Question: what is data processing? Answer: data processing involves any operation or a set of operations performed on personal data. This can include actions like collecting, storing, using, analyzing, sharing, or deleting data. Essentially, whenever personal data is handled, it is considered data processing. It doesn't matter whether these actions are carried out manually or through automated systems, they all fall under this umbrella. For instance, let's take a customer feedback survey. When customers submit their feedback, the collection of their responses is the first step in data processing. Storing those responses in a database, analyzing trends to improve products, and even deleting outdated responses are all part of the processing lifecycle. Another example is a music streaming app. When a user creates a playlist, the app collects data about the songs they select. That data is then stored and analyzed to recommend new songs based on their preferences. This entire workflow, collection, storage, analysis, and use, illustrates data processing. Understanding data processing is important because it helps define how personal data flows within an organization. It also highlights potential points where privacy risks could arise, such as during data sharing or storage. Properly managing and securing these processes ensures compliance with privacy standards and protects individuals' rights. Question: what is the difference between a data controller and a data processor? Answer: the distinction between a data controller and a data processor lies in their roles and responsibilities when handling personal data. A data controller is the entity that determines why and how personal data should be processed. Essentially, they are the decision makers, defining the purposes and methods of data processing. On the other hand, a data processor processes the data on behalf of the controller, following their instructions without deciding the purpose or means of processing. For example, imagine an online store that collects customer information, such as names, addresses, and purchase histories. The store acts as the data controller because it decides the reason for collecting the data, e.g., fulfilling orders, and how the data will be handled. Now, if the store hires a payment processing company to handle credit card transactions, that company becomes the data processor. It processes the payment details, but only according to the instructions provided by the store. Another example is a marketing agency hired to run email campaigns for a business. The business, as the data controller, provides the agency with a customer email list and defines how the data should be used. The agency, as the processor, executes the campaign but doesn't have the authority to decide other uses for the data. The distinction is important because controllers bear the primary responsibility for ensuring compliance with privacy regulations, while processors must follow the controller's instructions and implement appropriate safeguards. Understanding these roles helps clarify accountability in data privacy practices. Question: what is the principle of least privilege and why is it important? Answer: the principle of least privilege, PLP, is a key security concept that ensures users, applications, and systems are granted only the minimum level of access they need to perform their specific tasks. This reduces the risk of unauthorized access or misuse of sensitive data. For example, in an organization, an intern in the marketing department may only need access to social media tools and certain non-sensitive campaign data. Under the principle of least privilege, they would not have access to financial records or customer databases, as these are irrelevant to their role. Another practical application is in database management. If an employee is responsible for running reports, they should only have read-only access, not permissions to modify or delete records. This ensures that even if their account is compromised, the damage is limited. Implementing PLP minimizes security risks in several ways. First, it reduces the attack surface by limiting access points for potential breaches. Second, it lowers the impact of insider threats, whether malicious or accidental, by ensuring users don't have access to systems or data they don't need. Finally, it supports compliance with data privacy regulations by demonstrating responsible access control practices. By enforcing the principle of least privilege, organizations can create a more secure environment, enhance operational efficiency, and build trust with stakeholders. It's a simple yet powerful strategy to protect sensitive information in today's complex digital landscape. Question: what is a data inventory, and why is it crucial for privacy management? Answer: a data inventory, sometimes called a data map, is a comprehensive record of all the personal data an organization collects, processes, shares, and stores. It serves as the foundation for understanding how data flows through an organization and is critical for managing privacy effectively. For example, a healthcare provider may create a data inventory to track patient information, such as names, contact details, medical histories, and insurance data. This inventory would document where the data is collected, e.g., patient registration forms, how it is processed, e.g., billing and diagnosis, where it is stored, e.g., databases, and with whom it is shared, e.g., insurance companies. A robust data inventory is crucial for several reasons. First, it helps organizations identify what personal data they hold and the purpose of processing it, which is essential for compliance with privacy regulations like GDPR and the Indian Personal Digital Data Protection Act. Second, it supports risk management by identifying high-risk data types or activities, such as storing sensitive health or financial data. Third, it aids in responding to data subject requests, such as access or deletion requests, by providing clarity on where data is located. Without a data inventory, organizations risk data misuse, noncompliance, and potential fines. By maintaining an up-to-date data inventory, organizations gain better control over their data, reduce privacy risks, and demonstrate accountability to regulators and customers. Question: what are data subject rights, and how should they be implemented? Answer: data subject rights refer to the rights individuals have over their personal data under data protection regulations. These rights empower individuals to control how their personal data is collected, processed, and shared. The most common data subject rights include: 1. Right to access. Individuals have the right to access their personal data and understand how it is being processed. For example, a customer can request their transaction history from an online retailer. 2. Right to rectification. Individuals can correct inaccurate or incomplete data. For instance, if a person's address in an online account is incorrect, they have the right to update it. 3. Right to erasure. Also known as the right to be forgotten, individuals can request the deletion of their personal data under certain conditions. For example, an employee might request the deletion of personal information from a company's database when they leave the company. 4. Right to object. Individuals can object to the processing of their data for specific purposes, such as direct marketing. For instance, someone may choose to opt out of receiving marketing emails from a company. Implementing data subject rights requires clear procedures and systems to handle requests efficiently. For example, an organization should establish a dedicated team to handle data access requests, set up secure channels for submitting requests, and ensure responses are provided within the legal time frame. In practice, this might involve using a customer service platform to track requests, ensuring data is updated across multiple systems when rectification requests are made, or developing secure deletion protocols to erase data in compliance with legal requirements. By respecting data subject rights, organizations not only comply with privacy regulations, but also build trust with their customers and employees. Question: what are the main challenges in data privacy compliance? Answer: data privacy compliance involves a variety of challenges that organizations must navigate to ensure they protect personal data and meet legal requirements. Here are some of the most common challenges. First, keeping up with evolving regulations is a significant hurdle. Privacy laws such as GDPR, CCPA, and India's Personal Data Protection Bill are frequently updated, and organizations must stay informed of any changes. For example, a company that operates in multiple countries may need to comply with different laws, each with its own requirements regarding data collection, processing, and storage. Second, ensuring employee training is crucial. Employees are often the first line of defense against data breaches, yet many lack awareness of privacy practices. For instance, employees might inadvertently share personal data through insecure channels or fall victim to phishing attacks. Regular training on privacy policies, security measures, and recognizing threats is essential to mitigate this risk. Third, managing third-party risks is another challenge. Outsourcing services such as cloud storage or data analytics introduces risks if third-party vendors don't follow the same data protection standards. For example, a company may need to audit third-party vendors regularly to ensure they comply with privacy policies. Maintaining data security is another challenge, as organizations must implement robust security measures like encryption, firewalls, and access controls to prevent data breaches. With the increase in cyber attacks, data security becomes increasingly complex. Finally, effectively implementing data subject rights can be difficult. Organizations need to set up systems for handling access requests, deletions, and other rights within legally defined timeframes. The processes must be streamlined to avoid delays and ensure compliance. Question: what is data encryption and why is it important for privacy? Answer: data encryption is a process that converts readable data, known as plaintext, into an unreadable format called ciphertext. This is done using algorithms and encryption keys, making the data unintelligible to anyone who doesn't have the proper key to decrypt it. The importance of encryption in privacy cannot be overstated. Encryption is vital for protecting sensitive data both during storage and when transmitted across networks. For example, when a user enters their credit card information on an e-commerce website, encryption ensures that the data is securely transmitted to the server, preventing it from being intercepted by cybercriminals. Without encryption, any attacker who gains access to the data in transit could steal or misuse it. Encryption also plays a crucial role in securing data stored on devices or servers. If an organization's database is encrypted, even if a hacker gains access to the database, they would not be able to read or use the data without the decryption key. This adds an additional layer of security against data breaches. A real-life example can be seen in the healthcare industry. If patient records are stored in an encrypted format, any unauthorized access to the server would render the records unreadable, helping prevent data theft and protecting patient privacy. In today's digital landscape, encryption is a foundational privacy measure that helps organizations comply with data protection regulations, such as GDPR, which mandates that appropriate technical measures be taken to safeguard personal data. By encrypting data, organizations reduce the risk of exposure, enhance data privacy, and build trust with their customers and stakeholders. Question: what is the concept of right to be forgotten, and how does it apply to data privacy? Answer: The right to be forgotten is a data subject's right to request the deletion or removal of their personal data from an organization's systems when the data is no longer necessary for the purposes it was originally collected. This right is grounded in the principle that individuals should have control over their own data and the ability to ensure it is not kept longer than necessary. This concept has gained significant attention in privacy laws such as the GDPR, which grants individuals the right to request that organizations erase their personal data under certain circumstances. For example, a person may wish to have their social media profile deleted because they no longer want to share their information, or they may feel that their data has been stored for too long without a valid purpose. A real-life scenario can be seen with search engines, where an individual may request the removal of certain links from search results. If personal data is outdated or irrelevant, search engines are required to honor the request under specific conditions, provided there is no overriding public interest in keeping the information available. It is important to note, however, that the right to be forgotten is not absolute. For instance, data cannot be deleted if it's needed for legal obligations or if it's necessary for the performance of a contract. A company might need to retain certain data to comply with tax laws, for example. Overall, the right to be forgotten empowers individuals to manage their privacy and ensures organizations take responsibility for the data they collect. It highlights the shift toward user-centric privacy practices where individuals have more control over their personal information. Question: how do you handle cross-border data transfers while ensuring privacy compliance? Answer: cross-border data transfers refer to the movement of personal data from one country to another, which can raise privacy concerns due to differences in data protection laws between jurisdictions. Handling these transfers while ensuring privacy compliance requires a few key strategies. One of the most common methods is the use of standard contractual clauses, SCCs. These are legal tools that ensure that the data being transferred abroad will continue to be protected in accordance with privacy laws, regardless of the data protection standards in the destination country. For example, a company transferring customer data to a third-party vendor in a country with less stringent privacy laws would incorporate SCCs into their contract to ensure that the vendor protects that data according to the original standards. Another consideration is ensuring that the country receiving the data provides adequate protection for personal information. The European Union's GDPR, for instance, only allows data to be transferred to countries that are deemed to have an adequate level of data protection. If a country does not meet this standard, additional safeguards must be implemented, such as binding corporate rules or an explicit data subject consent process. A real-life example of cross-border data transfer compliance issues occurred when a US-based tech company transferred personal data from the EU to the US. The transfer was challenged by privacy advocates because the US did not meet the EU's data protection standards. The company had to implement additional safeguards like encryption to ensure compliance. Question: how do you handle cross-border data transfers while ensuring privacy compliance? Answer: cross-border data transfers refer to the movement of personal data from one country to another, which can raise privacy concerns due to differences in data protection laws between jurisdictions. Handling these transfers while ensuring privacy compliance requires a few key strategies. One of the most common methods is the use of standard contractual clauses, SCCs. These are legal tools that ensure that the data being transferred abroad will continue to be protected in accordance with privacy laws, regardless of the data protection standards in the destination country. For example, a company transferring customer data to a third-party vendor in a country with less stringent privacy laws would incorporate SCCs into their contract to ensure that the vendor protects that data according to the original standards. Another consideration is ensuring that the country receiving the data provides adequate protection for personal information. The European Union's GDPR, for instance, only allows data to be transferred to countries that are deemed to have an adequate level of data protection. If a country does not meet this standard, additional safeguards must be implemented, such as binding corporate rules or an explicit data subject consent process. A real-life example of cross-border data transfer compliance issues occurred when a US-based tech company transferred personal data from the EU to the US. The transfer was challenged by privacy advocates because the US did not meet the EU's data protection standards. The company had to implement additional safeguards like encryption to ensure compliance. In some cases, companies may also seek explicit consent from data subjects before transferring their data across borders. This ensures transparency and gives individuals control over where their personal data is sent. Question: how do you assess and manage data privacy risks? Answer: assessing and managing data privacy risks is a vital part of maintaining a robust privacy framework within an organization. It starts with identifying potential risks that could compromise the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of personal data. These risks could arise from internal or external threats, such as data breaches, unauthorized access, or misuse of data. Once potential risks are identified, the next step is to evaluate their likelihood and the potential impact they could have on individuals and the organization. For example, the risk of an employee inadvertently disclosing personal data is likely, but the impact may be minimal. On the other hand, a cyber attack resulting in the theft of sensitive customer data could have both high likelihood and severe consequences. After assessing the risks, organizations must implement controls to mitigate them. This could include enhancing data security measures, limiting access to sensitive data, conducting regular staff training, or implementing technical solutions such as encryption. A real-life example of managing data privacy risks is a financial institution that conducted a privacy risk assessment and discovered vulnerabilities in their third-party vendor contracts. By addressing these risks through updated data processing agreements and additional security measures, they reduced the likelihood of a data breach. Regular risk assessments and audits are essential to ensure that privacy risks are continuously managed. This allows organizations to stay compliant with privacy regulations and reduce the potential for data breaches, ensuring the protection of personal data and maintaining customer trust. Question: what is the role of a Data Subject Access Request, DSAR, in data privacy? Answer: a Data Subject Access Request, DSAR, is a vital mechanism that empowers individuals to exercise their rights regarding personal data. It allows individuals to request access to the personal data an organization holds about them, providing transparency into how their data is processed and used. Through a DSAR, individuals can verify that their data is being processed lawfully and ensure that it is accurate and up to date. If there are any inaccuracies or concerns about the data, the individual can request corrections or even deletion of their information. This right to access is a core aspect of privacy laws such as GDPR, which gives individuals control over their data. For example, a customer may submit a DSAR to an e-commerce company to understand how their purchase history and personal details are being used. If they find that some of the information is incorrect, such as an outdated address, they can request an update or deletion of the data. A real-life example of DSARs in action comes from a healthcare provider that received multiple requests from patients seeking access to their medical records. The organization was required to respond within a specific timeframe, allowing the patients to review their data, request corrections, or even delete records if necessary. Ultimately, the DSAR ensures accountability and transparency in how personal data is handled, reinforcing trust between individuals and organizations. It allows individuals to exercise control over their personal information, ensuring privacy rights are respected and upheld. Question: how does data masking enhance data privacy? Answer: data masking is a technique used to enhance data privacy by replacing sensitive information with fictitious but realistic data. This ensures that real personal data, such as names, addresses, or payment details, is not exposed during testing or development processes. In an organization, data masking is especially useful when developers or third parties need access to data but shouldn't have access to the actual sensitive personal information. Instead of using real data, masked data provides a safe alternative that still maintains the structure and format of the original data. This allows testing, debugging, or training on realistic datasets without compromising privacy or exposing real personal data. For example, a financial institution might use data masking when testing a new customer service system. The developers need to work with customer information to simulate transactions, but using real data poses a privacy risk. By masking the sensitive data, such as replacing real account numbers with fictitious ones, they can continue their testing without exposing actual customer data. A real-life example would be a hospital that needs to test a new electronic health records (EHR) system. Instead of using actual patient data, the hospital uses masked data that mimics the original but does not reveal any real personal information. This allows the hospital to ensure the system works correctly while protecting patient privacy. Ultimately, data masking is an effective way to safeguard sensitive information during testing, development, or any situation where data is used for purposes other than its original intent, thus maintaining data privacy while ensuring operational needs are met. Question: how does anonymization help in data privacy? Answer: anonymization plays a crucial role in data privacy by permanently removing or altering identifiable information, making it impossible to trace the data back to any specific individual. Once data is anonymized, it no longer falls under the scope of privacy regulations, as the original identifying details are irreversibly masked. This process is especially important in scenarios where data needs to be shared for analysis, research, or reporting, but where maintaining privacy is critical. Anonymizing data ensures that individuals' personal information is protected, even if the data is shared with third parties or used for statistical purposes. For example, a company conducting a survey on employee satisfaction might anonymize the survey results. By removing personally identifiable information, such as names or employee IDs, the company can share the results with stakeholders without compromising the privacy of the participants. A real-life example comes from the healthcare industry, where anonymization is often used for medical research. Researchers may use anonymized patient data to identify trends in diseases or treatment outcomes. By anonymizing the data, they can ensure that sensitive medical information is not exposed while still deriving valuable insights from the data. Anonymization ensures that the data can still be useful for analysis or research without putting individuals' privacy at risk. It is a highly effective method to protect privacy, especially when handling large datasets where identifying individuals is not necessary for the intended use.